Hello and welcome to our Help Save Our World Speak online meeting number 28. The topic for today is alignment with self and Mother Nature. Why is this important? Because it is essential to your life, health, happiness, and manifesting a sustainable future. And the way you live your life is essential to the life and health of our planet. Hello, I am Dennis, the teacher of the Quest for the Truth, showing the people the way to the age of reason beyond this age of ignorance. I will be your host for the next hour. I would like just if each of you could just introduce yourselves so, if somebody comes online, they see only this video, they get to meet you. So, Rochelle?
Hello, I'm Rochelle. I'm an educator. I live in KZN and I'm happy to be here today.
Thank you so much. Kurt, can you introduce yourself?
Yeah, my name is Kurt. I'm currently in South Florida on the coastline, and I have been a teacher and in teaching for about the past 25 years as my main source of career. And I'm here because I'm interested in the concepts that can help me and my neighbors live a better life in a better world.
Thank you so much, Kurt. That's awesome. Lorna?
Yes, good morning. My name is Lorna. I am from Guatemala, but based in South Florida. I am a humanistic advocate, and I'm a teacher for language and personal branding.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Your body, mind, consciousness, and intuition is calling you back to yourself. If you're listening, you will hear it. If you do as you're being asked, you will transform your life. Mother Nature is also calling you back into alignment. If you're listening and doing as you're asked to do, you will have a future. If not, you will not. Your journey back to alignment with you is a profound, life-altering journey of change. It's a journey of change back to your natural default settings, to be happy, to be healthy, and living by the truth, to living by the natural wisdom of life and nature, by living in love, balance, and harmony with that flow of yourself, nature, life, and the universe. Living in healthy relationships with yourself, others, and nature, consciously experiencing oneness and connectedness, living in a state of being where you are caring, sharing, nurturing, growing yourself and life around you. It is a state of being knowledgeable, aware, consciously connected, enlightened, and wise, living by the natural wisdom and way of life that are in alignment with life itself, living a connected life, moving in relationship to the flow of your body and life in love, balance, and harmony with those essential flows. This is a comprehensive change and transformation of the direction and flow of your life. It is a process of correcting your feelings, your emotions, your thoughts, your behaviors, and your unconscious programming, resetting, changing, transforming, and regrowing and reconstructing yourself. I think of simple thoughts and transitional journeys. The ones I went through on my journey of transformation when I had no idea what it is I was trying to do, but I knew there was something that I had to fix. So I began by listening to my intuition, and I stopped smoking because that like really was hurting me, and I wasn't able to run like the wind. I was coughing up lumps of that phlegm. It was disgusting. So I decided, no, fix that. Then I was drinking alcohol, and I missed so much time with my family and things. So I said, no, that's it, enough. My family, was certain people in my family were very violent, and I suffered extremely badly from that. I mean, you can still see I've got a broken nose. Um, and so, of course, it was a case of, no, that's not serving me. It's not doing any good for me. So let me change. Then I stopped things like coffee, milk, and sugar, and began drinking more water. And I lost 10 kgs. It's because I would literally, as fast as I put a cup down, um, I had my own factory and I had staff and everything. There would always be another cup of coffee for me. So I literally lost 10 kgs just by stopping doing that and drinking water and sometimes a bit of green tea. Then there were things like bread and flour and preservatives and all of those things. And I said, no, that's it, enough. Started reading the labels, started to be careful about what I assimilated into my body. All of those changes made a huge difference. And then I became a vegetarian, just focusing on veggies and maybe a few eggs. And then, of course, I became a total vegan. And of course, being a vegan, you really have got a lot to learn about how to sustain yourself and be healthy as a vegan. So I did the whole vegan thing. And of course, if your vitamin B12 drops too low, your myelin sheaths, which cover your nerve endings, starts to recede. And of course, everything you touch becomes extremely painful if you're not getting enough vitamin C. And then of course you suffer from what they call scurvy, and if you are eating too many carbohydrates and not eating enough vegetables, or green vegetables and various other colors of vegetables and fruits, you end up becoming obese. You start to put on too much weight. And a lot of people think that soy is the way, but it's not. And you've got to start to work out what forms a whole protein and how to do it, and what are your omega-3 and omega-6 fatty acids. All of these things are lessons that you have to learn. So I changed that. Then I did a lot of things like walking. I ran, I swam, I played with my children, and I taught them how to snorkel, how to skimboard, which is throwing a board on very thin water at the beach and then running and jumping on it. Absolutely amazing fun. How to skimboard, how to surf, and taught them how to swim. Eventually, at 12 years old, my daughter could swim much faster than me. And it was this incredible journey of playing and being part of life and living and being healthy and running like the wind. So all the things I loved doing as a child, I brought them into my life. So I started playing guitar again, and I started singing again, and I started dancing. And all of these are magical activities, which are referred to as ludic behavior from psychology. Can't remember who referred to it as that, but which means just random creative play, as opposed to something that's very controlled in terms of behavior. I was also an extreme sportsman. I surfed in extreme waves, extreme conditions, in hurricanes, and just crazy stuff, racing down raging rivers in full out flood. Endurance canoeing for the Doozy Canoe Marathon, and running the Comrades Marathon, and swimming extreme distances. In Florida, it was like, about 5 or 6 years ago, I was swimming for about 6 or 7 miles along the coastline, and then wading back. And that was my exercise for the day. I was extremely fit and healthy and so on. So I was always testing my abilities to the extreme against my fears, because fear will prevent you from going there. But you need to actually go there and create imbalance, and then come back into balance, and then fall out of balance again. So I was always lucky that although I went right out there to the extremes of behavior, I was able to come back. I was guided and protected. That's another whole story, but it's wonderful that I managed to survive some extreme experiences. Total dehydration. I collapsed in the bottom of it called Burma. It was a very big hill that we had to climb in the marathon, and I had jippo guts for 3 days, and I dehydrated. I collapsed, and lucky for me, somebody spotted me, and a helicopter came and took me out of there. So um, I've taken myself to the edge of death many, many times. But these extremes helped me to learn and grow, but always had to return to alignment and balance. It's like this whole thing of having to come back. I think of this infinity sign, but the infinity sign is constantly moving forward because we're on a moving planet, we're spinning, we're flying through space. So it's each time we cross over in the middle, we are now in alignment with ourselves, and each time we fall out in either direction, we're out of balance. And I think I take Rowan for walks, and we walk along the railway line, and we're balancing. And as we're falling this way, we're falling out of balance. As we're falling that way, out of balance. And then, of course, we do it along the paving stones on the edge of the road. We're walking along balancing, and then eventually you get so good at balancing that you can put your hands down by your side. But that is a fundamental wisdom or requirement for life, is this return to balance. As important as exercise is, so is rest and recovery. Pushing myself to the edge of working too hard led to total burnout and emotional and psychological collapse, which nearly cost me my life. There's another incredibly important thing to catch up with is sleep, if you're not getting enough sleep, and especially REM sleep, which is rapid eye movement sleep, which is essential to your mental health and your recovery every night. It's this reestablishment of order and the housekeeping of life and reestablishing the balances in your mind. Healthy relationships are fundamentally important to your mental and emotional health. I made many mistakes in that area. Love of self, love of nature, love of one another and all things will bring you back to health and to happiness within yourself. So love is this fundamentally important thing. So it's love, balance, and harmony, which is flowing in alignment with that flow. The people you hang out with are also important to your mental health, personal growth, and happiness. As you change your behaviors, the people you used to hang out with, they disappear. And the people that you make new friends with tend to be more in alignment with where you are going. It's like this gravity or this magnetism that brings you together. Like right now, this amazing thing that I just pointed out, we have these 4 amazing teachers that have all naturally gravitated towards what we're doing, which is absolutely incredible. We're not 4 people who are at the bar getting drunk every day, and every day we meet to get drunk. So that's what I'm implying. So this whole process is a process of incremental changes which lead to total personal transformation. However, everything you do begins with your feelings, your emotions, which rise up in you, your thoughts, the questions you ask and answer, then a change in your behavior, which, if practiced for more than 21 days, becomes your new program and your new subconsciously programmed way of life. You find that in yoga, they say, oh, just come back for 10 times and see if you like it. And before you know it, you've done 21 times and then you're hooked. Boom, you're going to do yoga every day. Consciously changing your unconscious and subconscious mind and then your behaviors by awakening, becoming more aware and conscious of what's happening around you, all around you. Thoughts and choices that result in your new behavior. 90% of our behaviors are conditioned or indoctrinated into us. So we repeat those same behaviors again and again, which, of course, ultimately perpetuates the past. We are reliving the past with most of our behavior every day. And that past could be your past or my past, or it could be what I was conditioned into, or it could be the ancestral conditioning, which has been passed on from generation to generation. And of course, most of that conditioning comes from institutionalized thought, which is religions and education systems and governments and media and da da da. So we tend to be playing out a program and reliving the past, but that does not serve us. If we are killing our planet by living that way, why are we doing that? I mean, at some point we need to say, no, this is not serving us. It's not working for us. So what are we going to do? So this journey is a journey to discover, asking, why is it like it is? Finding the fundamental problems, the causes of our problems, and the fundamental problems with ourselves and our way of life, and then changing them. This journey is a conscious retraining of the subconscious mind and the unconscious mind and the body mind, because the body mind is really an interesting concept, that whatever you practice physically becomes an unconscious mind within itself, to different feelings, emotions, thoughts, and behaviors. That is the journey of change back to you. If you don't undertake this journey of awakening, awareness, knowledge, skills, and natural wisdom to your life's mastery, you will always be stuck in your same programmed, destructive, and harmful behaviors, harming yourself and your world around you. It's not just the world, it's your children, it's everybody, because you perpetuate the same destructive paradigm. You will be unconsciously the victim of your past programmed way of life. Then you be unwittingly passing it on to your children. Unless you question everything, find the truth, change your unconscious and subconscious programming, you will never heal yourself and your world. You will be nothing more than a replica of your programmer's design. Who are they? What did they do to you, and why? I'll stop there for now and we can talk, and then we can continue. So anyone, any comments?
Yeah, you touched on a lot of important topics there. I think, to my mind, the end ones, the conversations that we live out of, is probably the most critical to this group. It's the motto, I think: change conversation, change the world. So definitely to be aware of the conversations that run us and where we choose from, and even be aware that we are choosing in any particular moment. Sometimes we don't even think it's a choice when it actually is, but we go through it as it's just an action, and a programmed habitual action. So yeah, I think that's critical, is to continually check in with, what was the thought I just had? What was the choice I just made about that thought? What am I about to do? What am I going to do about that? And that's a great habit to get into. It's one that we can instill ourselves. And when we do, then we look at life a lot differently. Like, oh, there's something fresh here for me to pay attention to. It's not the same old that I just need to operate into. It's a new moment and new people and new players and new circumstances. And so what do I think about that? And to me, that's a fun way to live. It's a creative way. It's almost like a beginner's mind saying, I haven't lived this moment before, so let me milk it for everything that I can. And I'll just add one little piece onto this. Don Miguel Ruiz, who wrote the 4 agreements, added a 5th agreement a couple of years ago. and basically says, listen but question everything. And that includes the conversations we tell ourselves. And it's so important for that awareness to come up, that we are constantly listening to somebody telling us something, whether it's you telling me, or whether it's my brain telling me this is what Dennis meant, or no, that's not true, and I want to disagree with it, and then that conversation comes up. We are always processing stuff, and so when we get aware of what we're processing and how and where it's coming from, then we can start to change the conversation. But until we're aware of the conversations that happen, we're still subject to all manner of influences that have nothing to do with us choosing, but us obeying the already existing choice that we've been programmed. That's my thought on that.
Awesome. That's brilliant, Kurt. It's like that it's really about being conscious of the fact, being aware of what's going on, and being conscious of the fact that in every moment we are making choices, and are those choices the best choices for us and for our world and for life and whatever. So really it begins with a choice to revisit every possible thought and behavior and say, is this the right thing to do, or is this the correct thought, or an acceptable thought or behavior? So yeah, I really like the concept that you bring up, that awareness. Now, last week we talked about the flows. Kurt brought a very insightful concept of flows and the timelessness of being totally absorbed and focused in that flow of life, which I could totally 100% relate to. It's like you take off on a wave when you're a surfer, and it's this enormous wave, and as you're about to take off, you're facing this incredible fear. Can I make it? Will I make it? Blah blah blah. There's conversations in your head, and you're like, I don't care, I'm going. And that monkey mind just shuts up, and you're moving. And you're because you've been paddling like crazy with everything you've got to catch the wave, and now you're moving, and you're up on your feet, and you're flowing, and you're flying down this massive monster, and this monster just like breaks right over you in this huge tunnel, and you're flying along this wall at this incredible speed, like, I don't know, 45, 50 miles an hour. And it's as if time stands still. You're in this moment where, relative to the wave, things are happening, but it looks like everything's standing still because it's unchanging. But it's because of the speed you're traveling at and the relative speed at which the wave's breaking, and that you're in this, literally this womb, and it's time stands still, and you go flying along this wall at this incredible speed, and then you kick out, bah, and you go flying through the air, and you scream with absolute pleasure and delight, just like, ah, just the sounds of your soul echoing in the air, and you're just flying through the air, and then of course come back down to the water, and you land, and you are so exhilarated and so excited. But that timelessness is absolutely magical. So that's being in the flow, in that magical space. However, after Kurt gave that amazing analogy and so on, I specifically focused and spoke about your personal flow of energy and what is this, literally the synchronicity of all of these vibrations of energy that are all functioning together, which together makes this flow, which we call life, your life. You are this expression of this incredible patterns of energy all working together, flowing to create your life. And if something is not flowing in synchronicity, you have disease, you have cancer, and ultimately, like I use this analogy in my book, if say one atom decided, okay, it's not going to be part of this flow anymore, it's just going to do its own thing, you would literally have an explosion of energy just exploding out in all directions, which would affect every other atom around you. And of course, there would just be this radiation, like this lightning strike, and bam, and a huge explosion, and you wouldn't exist anymore. But it's only because of that synchronicity of those vibrations and those flows all flowing together as you flying through space on the spinning planet and around the solar system and around the galaxy and flying through space. All of that is just these incredible flows, this what I refer to as the symphony of life. Now, our way of life, we become so asynchronous with this flow, and we're becoming more and more unhealthy, more obese, more sick, and and all those things that are happening. And unless we return into alignment with that flow, we will become unhealthy and die. And same thing with sickness and so on. So I spoke about your personal flows of energy. I spoke about the flows of the biodiversity of complex ecosystems like jungles. I spoke about the flows of all of the natural systems within Mother Nature, like the tides and the currents and the rain cycle and the whole thing of life creating the oxygen that we need to survive, which is sustaining our atmosphere and maintaining the temperature of the planet through the ozone. And all of these are natural systems, all flowing and working together in synchronicity to ensure that life goes on. And if we don't sustain that by maintaining the natural systems that maintain it, like having plant life and trees all around and the plankton in the ocean, then everything changes. Less oxygen in the atmosphere, the ozone starts to break up, too much radiation from space, everything dies. It's like we have to move in synchronicity with this flow or cease to exist. That's just the way it is. Okay, I spoke of the flow of the solar systems and galaxies. I referred to them as symphonies of energies or complex patterns of energy, all functioning together in complex relationships to create the flows of your life, nature, and the universe. All functioning in complex relationships, all right, which is to me love, balance, and harmony to form you and your world, all flowing together to create, compose, and sustain every natural process in our reality. I mean, if our world was not functioning like it does, we wouldn't exist. If all of the natural ecosystems are not working as they need to, we cease to exist. If we are not functioning as we need to be as one with those ecosystems, we cease to exist. What I didn't bring up was that these flows are imperfect and constantly correcting. This is happening constantly to ensure they stay moving in healthy relationships to that flow. These relationships can be thought of as moving and functioning in love, balance, and harmony. Love or relationships are composed of motion, connectivity, vibrations, energy, which I call Venergy, gravity, that force that brings it together, combining, giving and receiving of energy between all of the different systems, nurturing, caring, protecting, sharing what we have, and all happening in close proximity. Energy in motion is also emotions. So our emotions are fundamentally important to our motivations and to our relationship to that synchronicity of flow. Balance is the falling in and falling out. And of course, harmony is necessary, is the necessity of being in synchronicity and flowing with that flow. If you're not in harmony and you're disharmonious, you're going to have dis-ease and all of the problems that happen because of the lack of harmony with the flow of one symphony and the symphony of life and nature. This week, I propose that we talk about the importance of your alignment with yourself and your alignment with life and nature. If you're out of alignment, out of balance, disconnected, or have no relationship to the love of your flow, you will suffer and eventually die. If you are out of flow or love, balance, and harmony with nature, you will die and become extinct. Sorry, but that's just the truth of it. Sounds very negative, but that's the way it is. What you do to yourself, you do to others and our world. Everyday things you do are really important to you, your health, and your world. What you do, what you buy, what you eat, what you drink, what you assimilate into your being, the people you hang out with, the thoughts, the emotions, the behaviors you practice, all matter. Your choices and actions matter. Are they motivated by conscious decisions, or are they based on your subconscious or unconscious programming? Alignment with self, movement in love, balance, and harmony. If you harm yourself, drink excessive alcohol, you will suffer as you fall out of your natural, clean, pure state of being. If you destroy your bodily processes too much, you will die. You don't harm yourself too badly, and you will wake up with a headache and feel really bad. And it will take days, if not 3 or 4 days, maybe even a week to recover. Doing it repeatedly, the damage is compounded. As in alcoholism, you end up with the DTs, you end up with this ruddy face, and your kidneys and liver and so on all break down, and eventually you die. So if you don't eat a healthy diet, you will suffer. You have to play the game or you will suffer the pain. Put that in there because it sounded good. Balancing is fundamental to coming back into alignment. Try walking along a railway line or paving stones at the edge of the road. Life is about balancing, always coming back into alignment and falling out of balance and bringing yourself back in again. Too much of anything is not good for you. Even too much water or even too much good food, they have their, or too little, too much or too little of anything. If you have too little water, you're going to dehydrate, and if you have too little food, you're going to starve and die. What you practice, you become. Practice excessive drinking and you become an alcoholic and suffer all of the bodily and mind degeneration. To be in alignment with yourself is critical to your health, happiness, and quality of life. The journey of cleaning up your act and becoming healthier has many aspects and practices which can affect you in many ways. Doing the right thing for your health and the health of others around you is essential to a life well lived. However, falling out of balance is not necessarily a bad thing. When you do fall out of balance, it requires that you bring yourself back again. That requires effort, which makes you stronger. Or it requires rest so that your body can naturally heal and achieve balance on its own. In so doing, you're giving your body what it needs to realign itself and achieve homeostasis or balance. Even if you missed REM sleep, rapid eye movement sleep, or simply dream sleep, which is essential for your psychological health, you need that type of rest to regain your balance. Physical body. All of the functions of your body function around the optimum point, which is constantly moving forward in space, constantly changing. Things like grounding, everything functions relative to zero, the axis, the zero voltage, the zero potential, above and possibly below that potential. Senses. It's really interesting that if you have too much sugar, your taste buds change their range in which they function, and you can't really taste different other flavors because it's set at a particular level. And when you stop having sugar and you start to drink your coffee or tea without sugar and so on, your taste buds reset to a new ground level, to a new sensory level, and then you can taste all of this variety of taste which you had lost before. So it's really important to look at all of these different bodily functions and realize that all of these require balance. I brought up, say, the physical body. So your body, mind, and your muscle memory is also a store of these unconscious programs. It's like if somebody behaves badly in traffic, you will naturally have this physiological response to maybe do something undesirable, like show them a finger or something. And that is, it becomes like a physiologically programmed response, which I don't think has anything to do with the actual mind. It's like throwing a ball through a hoop. You learn this psychomotor control, this body-mind control, where you know exactly how hard and how high and what trajectory that works to be able to sink the ball in the hoop. So there is a certain amount of body-mind programming which happens. I don't know why I brought up these different things. Feelings are an awareness of sensation, hunger, pain, itchy. Emotions and feelings. Emotions are happiness, empathy, love, fear, anger, sadness, depression. Your psychological or mind or psyche are all part of this programmed consciousness. The conscious mind, the unconscious mind, and the subconscious mind. It's really interesting to look at those concepts. As consciousness is like being consciously aware and connected, and you're aware of what's coming in, you're awake. Then the unconscious mind, you are awake, but it is these programs that play out in your everyday behavior, and you're totally unconscious of the fact that they're happening. Then the subconscious is like just beneath that conscious mind, where you can just access it, but it's just below consciousness. So you find you get yourself to work, and although you've driven and you stopped at stop streets and you've waved at the milkman and you've done all of this stuff, you were totally unconsciously aware of the fact that all of this was happening, but you're suddenly at work. So that would be your subconscious mind playing out your behaviors. There are many journeys that will help you to realign. Believing everything that is written in black and white is a problem. If you start to believe everything that's written as true, you've got an issue. So you really have to have like a critical reasoning where you're like, okay, is this true or is it not? So you really need to bring it into your consciousness and make a decision on what you want to believe and not believe. Living in fear is a problem, because most of us, because of fear, we react and behave in undesirable ways because of our fear. Taking responsibility is critically important. Like, I mean, that's fundamentally important. Taking responsibility for your life, taking responsibility for your world, and then taking reasonable risk is also necessary to your health, growth, personal growth, and happiness. So really important. Preparing yourself in advance to reduce your risk of self-harm is an important option. So it's like you train as a swimmer before you become a lifesaver. You don't just expect to jump in the water and save somebody's life because you're going to drown and die yourself. So practicing your skills and honing your skills in life and knowledge and wisdom are critically important to be able to help others. If you're well prepared for the choices you're going to make, you're likely to be safe and do well. Nothing ventured, nothing gained. If you don't put yourself out there, you will not achieve anything. You'll just be stuck 100%. Being in alignment is critically important, but also the falling out and falling in is critically important. So it's really the process of flowing in alignment and out of alignment that is, as long as it's within reason on this journey, that's what's critical. You have to be willing to put yourself out there if you wish to learn and grow. What you think, say, and do really matters. Language is fundamentally important. You know, just using any old language just because everyone else does it, like words like God and words like uh, I can't even think of the words right now, but there are many words that have implied meanings, and you've got to be very careful of the words and the language you use, because you will be misunderstood and misinterpreted and so on, and you will lead people in totally the wrong direction if you're not careful of your language. So language is very important. Then there are many fundamental ways of thinking within our societies that really need to be looked at and thought about and reevaluated. So generalizations, oversimplification, everything's black and white, heaven and hell, good and evil. It's like, no, it's shades of gray. It's not even degrees. It's literally a variance. Specialization. We know with animals, specialization has always led to extinction. So there are many values and beliefs within our education system, within our cultures, within our religions, and so on. They're fundamental thoughts, which are the code that underlies what we think and what we believe. So it's really, really, really important to go there on a thought journey, looking at what are our fundamental thoughts and how do you find that? There are many techniques, which I'll explain later in the journey, of how to find and discover what they are and then reevaluate them. There are many ways we've been conditioned to think that are huge problems and need to be revisited and changed. Alignment with nature is fundamental. Living, eating, running, playing, singing, dancing, growing your own food, eating, sleeping, only taking what you need and constantly giving back, being part of the natural processes is all essential to perpetuating life and ensuring that you have the life support systems for your life, and ensuring that life and the future of life has the benefit of your presence in this chain of life, because we're not just individuals, we're part of this whole process of the baton was handed on to me and then from my parents, and then I hand on the baton to my children and they hand on the baton to their children. So it's like we are part of this whole chain of life. And are we beneficial to ourselves and to life past and life future? We need to make that decision on what we want to be. And a lot of that is to do with how much we are in alignment with ourselves. Are you a contribution to life now and to the future, or are you not? The combination of your alignment with self and nature is the answer. Everything you feel, think, say, and do matters. You're either trying to be in alignment, being responsible for your thoughts and behaviors, or you're harming yourself and the living world around you. No one is perfect, but it's important to put yourself out there and to learn and grow. However, taking responsibility for your lives, thoughts, and actions is fundamentally, like at the bottom line, it's fundamentally important. What are you doing, or what are you going to do to bring yourself back into alignment with yourself and Mother Nature? Anyone can take over from there. Lorna?
Yes, that was wonderful, Denise. It's beautiful. Let me put this on here. Okay. How do I, when I need to align myself with myself and nature, what do I do? The word that comes to mind is remember or focus on what identifies me, you know, what I'm really about, and that which is a nature, is my nature, right? So if I'm aware of that and I do things, think thoughts, etc., that identify myself, not otherwise, then I have a little bit better of a chance to knock on the door of alignment with the universe. Now, I realize that in order to, I got to a point that I feel I'm deserving of it. Way in the past, as you know, I didn't think that clear about that, but yes, I feel I'm deserving. Anytime I honor myself, and therefore, if I'm honoring myself, I honor nature and people and so forth. But lately, I know that I have to be ready to be ready, and I'll explain myself. Just a very daily situation. Yesterday, I overdid it. I overdid it with my day. Way overdid it. So this meeting is important for me, right? Personally, and to let the word out as well. So there's no way I was going to be that awake and clear and energetic today, you know, so my offer, would be something good. So the readiness I'm talking about is, I have to be ready with being focused on my energy, the timing, my timing, the way I eat, which that's pretty together, and who I hang out with, which is pretty good too. But this thing resonates with me a lot. I have to be ready so I can be really ready. Do you know what I mean? Just fully ready. So vibrationally, I'll be more in tune to ask not just what I want, but to be who I am. So I'm paying more attention to that. So vibrationally, how I can do that. I do it by setting my intention right, or rearranging the intention when it's not that clear or strong. And physically too, like you mentioned, the things you eat, right? And all what it takes, So the readiness is very important to expect an answer from source, and then be ready to go in the flow. So it's a journey, but it could be so easy it could be so easy. I was thinking this morning, if I'm just be myself. It just sounds ridiculous, right? But if I really honor who am I really about, which, finally, is, I shared my story with you before, I know who I am. I know what I'm here for. Way, way, way before I didn't know it, or I didn't believe it, right? I didn't own it. But when you really get to a place that you really know, and okay, let's say, oh wow, this is really represents me, and I like it. I feel good in it. So the next step is really take care of it. Take care of it. So then the alignment will become easier, not just keep trying to figure it out. I'm trying to get out of that figuring it out, because then it could be for me a circle to go, like a spin, and then figure out things take to another one. No, just, I know where I'm standing. Like I think Kurt mentioned last session, in a way I'm in my league of my own, but I thought about his words, and I said, yes, I'm in a league of my own, but yes, the league of my own is who I am. And how this has to do with nature, which was the second part of the homework, is you mentioned in your opening speech, Dennis, nature is more, you said something about nature calling, right? Calling. So I think those go together, because if I'm set in who I am, which is my calling, then nature will be there ready to, to walk with me and therefore to be aligned. That's what I have to offer today.
That's awesome. Rochelle seems to have turned her video off for some reason. Are you ready, Rochelle? Do you want to have a go at it?
Yes. I've had one of those weeks where it was a bit crazy, so I didn't really prepare a whole lot to say today. But such is the flow of life that it just comes out better when it's unplanned. But you know, talking about alignment, I feel like your life is really, to me, I feel that my life is aligned when it's running peacefully and everything is smooth and peaceful and happy. But the moment you start getting faced with turmoil and you feel that you're forcing water to flow in a different direction, then to me, I'm not in alignment somehow. If I'm being faced with constant anger or issues if I'm having arguments with people, or if I'm being faced with just battles, then I know that I'm not in alignment somehow. And I know that I need to go within and figure out why I'm being faced with these external problems, because I know that I'm not aligned somehow. And that is why these external problems are coming into my path. But I haven't shared this with you before, but I wanted to share with you the logo of my school. Can I share my screen with you quick? It's just here.
Yes, go ahead.
There we go. That is my logo. My school name is Labyrinth Prep School. And my motto is honor the path that calls you. And my logo at the bottom is educating through Ubuntu and inclusive education. And I don't know if you know the symbolic meaning of a labyrinth. It really represents the journey back to the center, and it represents the journey to finding yourself. And to me, that is very much the whole point of education, is finding the very essence of who you are. And that is what my purpose of an educator is to reminding children this. And I often find that in order to do this, I have to do this for myself. And in order to do this, children have to understand and have to have emotional intelligence. And just like you were saying, Dennis, emotions, understanding your emotions, it is everything. And what I'm doing to create alignment is basing my teaching philosophies very much on teaching emotional intelligence, but not just to the learners, but to parents as well. Because at the end of the day, mental health in adults is based on what you went through as a children and how you were taught to deal with your emotions. And that was learned. And it's not about blaming anybody, because everybody does things the way they know how, but it's about unlearning. And it's about realizing that emotions were given positive and negative connotations by society, but there are no good and bad emotions. They just are. And if we can learn this from a very, very young age, that you're allowed to feel emotions and you understand the source of these emotions, and then what to do with these emotions, and have a safe space to even feel them, then you can actually grow up in a space where you feel safe to even feel them in the first place. And growing up like this, you have more space to accept other people and their differences, because you start realizing that each and every person on this earth reacts and behaves from a place where they have misunderstanding. And basically, it's inclusivity at its highest point, and it's alignment. And if we can teach children and parents right from the beginning, and teach them to learn these concepts of emotional intelligence right from the beginning, we can start creating societies where people will accept each other. And I know it does go a lot further into, balance with regards to what you're eating, and because it is part of the balance, which I'm not really doing too much of in terms of the food and the exercise. But that is my part of that I am doing in terms of the alignment. But it's very important to me, because I don't believe that education is anything without EQ. Because you can be a famous mathematician and earn billions and billions, and you can be sad and lonely. And that is what's happening, is our society is having all this wealth. And it's, if you have a look at Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and you've got this massive big grounding of wealth and material needs, but people are sad, and people are lonely, and people are unaligned. And it is because people don't know how to know their emotions, and it starts right from children. So that is what my part I'm playing. And I guess that is all I really have to say for today.
Excellent. Thank you. That's wonderful. You know what's so interesting about emotions, and in children, and of course in adults, whatever, is we have an experience, and then we have certain feelings related to that, and that raises an emotion, or a feeling response, which is emotion, energy and motion response. We feel these feelings, these emotions rising up in us, and then we think, and we make a choice of how we interpreted that experience, and we start to respond in a certain way. We choose a response, and every time we have a similar experience, we go through the feelings, the emotions, and then the thought and the response, and eventually it just becomes our conditioned unconscious mind. Now, you'll find that kids with behavioral problems, and who are unable to function in the education system, are because they've developed socially unacceptable behavioral responses. And in the case of my grandson, it's the crying mommy, mommy, mommy all the time. Whenever there's a situation, is to run to mommy, and then it gets converted into grandpa, grandpa, grandpa. And instead of actually dealing with the situation, it's easier to get somebody else to deal. And that becomes a dysfunctional behavior, which leads to the lack of growth and a lack of self-confidence and blah, 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 blah. The whole journey of destructive behavior. Now, it's really important as observing adults and teachers to be able to say, okay, well, I'm observing all of your behavior, and I see, okay, this is what you're doing, and this is why you're doing it. And if you change this to being this, then your behavior will become acceptable, and you will learn and grow. And there's things like not responding to the grandpa, grandpa, grandpa thing, and saying just get on and do the work, leads to actually going through the problem himself, achieving success, and therefore getting self-confidence. So, I mean, every child is unique, and their experiences and their behavioral responses are different and so on. But that's really what I've been focusing on with Roan. is just looking for those behaviors and finding what are alternatives and ways of solving those problems and reprogramming that behavior, which is awesome. I know we're like 25 minutes past. I think the next section I will actually leave for the next meeting. But basically it leads from this into why is it important to look at these things, and why and what is the ultimate way of going through this thought and journey of change to an age of reason, and the importance of finding somebody who can guide you, who's actually been on this whole journey to lead you to a better future. So that's where I'm heading with that. And of course, the fundamentally next important thing which I want to focus on is thought. How important are our fundamental thoughts? And because that leads, basically, I went from not knowing what was going on in the world, like all of the problems of the world, to self-development. And now I want to step into thought. What are just these fundamental thoughts that we have, and how are they undesirable or desirable? And then leading into religion, politics, leading into physics and sciences, leading into a new theory of the nature of reality, which is the basis of that whole energy theory, where I get it from and everything. And then leading in the final section, leading to how to live sustainably on the planet, growing your own garden, and da 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 da. So it's basically I'm going on this journey, taking people on a journey of the quest for the truth and transformation, a change and transformation, through the series. And so that's what I've been doing, and that's why this section is where it is, and so on. So anyone's welcome to enter or leave.
Great. I have to run, Dennis. Thanks for that closure, and we'll move it forward next time we gather.
Thanks so much, Kurt. Wonderful having you. Thanks for your input.
Thank you.
Great to see you.
You do.
Good to see you.
Okay,
All right.
Rochelle.
Thanks,
Bye,
everyone.
ladies. Have a wonderful
Thanks.
Sunday.
Pleasure.
Okay?
You too. Bye-bye now.
Bye.